And I think I'm live for now. We should do, I'll do my test. I am. Look at me. Welcome back to another episode of Sugoi Boyz. It's going to be just a solo show for a bit. I think that Dread is going to join me in a little while. But that's cool because honestly, this episode I was probably going to be obnoxious and talk over everybody anyway. Because, I watched a lot of a certain show this week, a little bit of another show, and I got some manga that I'm excited to talk about. Hey, Osiris, what's up? Hopefully I don't blue screen again. That'd be good if that didn't happen every time I go to do this. Hey, Osiris, what's up? What do you think about the new Master Rule 5, Mr. Osiris? You're going to go back to playing 3 Dantes on the field now? Jade Chip, what is up, my man? Good to see you, bud. I was just telling everybody how, Dread will be here hopefully in a bit, but it's okay because I would probably talk a lot in this episode. I didn't really brief him on anything I was going to talk about, so I titled it sort of to tie into what I'm sort of talking about, but it's also very generic, and I understand that all of those things can be related to anime. Cyrus and J-Chip, I got you both here. What do you both think about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Rule 5, which anybody who doesn't play the game has no idea what we're talking about. BA is going to play the same. Okay. I thought you'd be more excited, man. I want some video where you're screaming into the microphone, and I want the thumbnail to say Tier 0 and have a picture of Beatrice. But I love Master Rule 5. Okay. I've been playing zombies this weekend. She did okay. I went on Friday and Sunday to my locals. We want to combine 3 and 4 overall, I think. Something like that. Deck did okay. Sometimes you have really kind of shitty hands, especially going second. And I didn't have all the necessary dangers. I didn't have any snakes, Tsuchinokos, whatever you want to call them. I just bought them today. Because, those cards are really good in a zombie deck because they just help you discard. But yeah, welcome back to anybody watching. Talk about a couple things tonight. Mainly, I guess, what I have been watching lately and what I've been looking to. We'll talk about what I've been watching, what I plan to, and maybe I'll tap into some plans I have before the end of the year. Once again, hopefully I don't blue screen again because that was really dumb last time. I've been sick, so I don't have any videos or didn't go to locals. Yeah, that's fine. And I probably sound like shit. I don't know if you can. My sinuses are all fucked. I feel like I'm on the outskirts of being sick, almost there. But as for me, I've been playing a lot of Overwatch. This weekend, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! But still a lot of Overwatch. For those that don't know, I'm part of a fairly competitive team. At the diamond level, we do a lot of tournaments and stuff like that. We're starting up. We're trying to grow into an org. So we're trying to have another team be part of it, sort of a slightly lower ranking team, and trying to sort of put that roster together with the kids that want to play on that team together and stuff, and hopefully get them going at the same time as keeping us organized. We just brought a team manager in. A lot of good things happening with that, but I feel like a lot of people just came here to see what I watched. If anybody, as always, I should be bringing this up. You would think at episode 56 I would know. Please type, as J-Chip just did, if you've been watching anything, reading anything, whatever, and your thoughts on it or what you might be looking forward to. Because I know we're on the outer realm of the fall season going into the winter season, right, of anime. Dr. Stone just ended. I finished that. Season 1 at least. Really excited for season 2. I haven't seen like a preview of it yet, but I heard that Stone Wars, I think it's going to be. Hey, Sweet Pea, what's up? Few minutes late today. It's okay. It's okay. Dread is going to be many minutes late, if at all. So you still beat him. You are still, as always, much cooler than him. But so, with this season sort of coming to an end, and I'm not the hugest seasonal anime fan in the world, Dr. Stone was fucking awesome. I think if you don't watch Dr. Stone, you're doing yourself sort of a disservice. I think it's definitely something I want to buy. I feel like I probably should just made a video about Dr. Stone to actually, get some clicks on my channel lately. But thoughts on it here. I loved it. It exceeded my expectations greatly. Going into the season, I thought that I would like Vinland Saga a lot more. I thought that Dr. Stone might not hold my attention for more than a few episodes. And I was wrong on both of those fronts. Not that Vinland Saga is bad. I think it's adapting the manga pretty well, and it's a manga that I love. But I'm almost thinking that maybe that kind of story is told better in a manga. And it's hard for me to explain why, because it doesn't necessarily look bad. I think Wit did a pretty good job with the Vinland Saga anime. I just think that it's just so, like, I don't know, just like the pace of it, it feels slower, even though it's animated, which just feels odd to me. Because reading Vinland Saga, I never thought it was slow. But in the anime, especially with this week's episode, where, like, not a lot happened. A lot of people sitting in a room talking. And I know countless anime fans that don't like to watch sitting around talking anime. That's why, shonen are so popular. Because you got these, whole seasons of shows where maybe the longest, like, dialogue scene is a couple minutes long. Because, that's, not what they're trying to be about. I'm not saying that you can't have a heavy dialogue show be good, but I think you walk a fine line of, like, boring an audience. And I think that, obviously, the people that really love Vinland Saga won't give a shit about that. I really love the manga. I'm not going to stop reading the manga. I'm not even going to stop watching the anime. I'm just slightly disappointed by it. And I don't really know how they could have done it. I don't know, like, better. But we'll have to see how that goes. But watching JoJo, also Yu-Gi-Oh! 7 is going to be out. Yeah, there's going to be a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime coming out next year, folks. I believe next year, right? Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. And JoJo's. Okay. I don't remember if you were here, Osiris. Last week I watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1 and talked about it. Just finished Hunter x Hunter 1999, which was actually really good. Huh. I've heard good stuff about 1999 Hunter x Hunter, but I've also heard that it's, like, not different enough to really warrant watching both, especially, like, near, like, the same time. But, it's been probably, like, 2 years since, like, I've watched Hunter x Hunter, so maybe it's time to go back. I just have so many things that I want to watch, so I don't want to give some false hope here. But how many episodes is the original Hunter x Hunter? Because I know it's not nearly as long as the 2011 one, right? So if that's the case, maybe I'll check it out or something. Or what would you say is something that is better done in 1999, if anything? Because 2011 was a pretty solid anime. I do have some problems with it, but I completely understand why people consider it one of the better shonen series ever. So we're still on hold on Yu Yu Hakusho. I didn't watch any of that this week. Vinland Saga, Ruby. Haven't seen. I watched the Ruby episodes illegally, so I haven't. The website that I use for Ruby does not. It's a little delayed with the episodes, so it's almost like I actually have to pay. It's almost like I actually, have to wait for the free episodes on the Rooster Teeth website, but. They usually get it a couple of days later. I think the Ruby episodes come out on Saturdays, and I don't see them until, like, Monday or Tuesday, if that. This last week was awful. They didn't have it until, like, the next, like, Friday. I'm almost better off like watching some reaction YouTuber and just trying to like ignore the chaos that's going on the screen. Yeah, 19 has a much darker tone. Okay, 62 episodes, but has like 30 episodes of OVAs. Is that of those 62, or is that like an additional, or is it like 92 counting OVA episodes? But what was I talking? Oh wow, my brain just like went completely oblivious. Okay, RWBY. I'm conflicted about this season of RWBY. And I'm thinking about making a video about that before the end of the year, certainly before the end of the 7th RWBY volume, season, whatever you want to call it. Hey, Lord Kobe, what's up, man? Sorry I missed your thing there. I don't know if I got any other RWBY fans here besides, I know J-Chip, who I know hasn't watched season 7. Oh, excuse me. Oh, but people seem fairly hyped about this season or volume. I'm going to say season. They call them volumes. But the season of RWBY. And while I agree with them that like there is some actual like romantic character development going on, there's actually like characters sort of getting reestablished as like better human beings with like Crow and stuff like that. You know, I don't want to spoil too much for J-Chip. I don't know if he really gives a shit. But, you know, there is some cool shit happening, but it's not like the story isn't really progressing like I want it to. Like, there's this cool conflict of like this like election thing going on in one of the cities, and there's corruptness going on, and obviously the RWBY girls get involved in it. There's the military versus the people aspect of this, but then there's like, because that's all such like a, with how big of a scale like last season of RWBY set for the world, right? Volume 6 literally tells you the theology of the RWBY universe. Okay? Again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but they tell you how everything sort of came to be. How there's humans, how there's Bonus, how there's magic, how there's fucking dust, how there's creatures, Grimm, some shit about Ozpin and Salem and all this shit, right? And I love that volume because it expanded the series so much, expanded the world into this fucking huge fucking like scale. Like it used to just be like about, I love this. Like seasons 1 and 2 used to be just about these like girls in a school fighting monsters and then eventually fighting each other, right? And it was this cutesy sort of like almost like shonen like action series. By volume 6, yeah, we had some okay volumes in there, volumes 4 and 5, but by volume 6, the world explodes open. And we're still traveling a whole lot, and while they don't necessarily delve into specific like locations in the world, the actual scope of what's going on, what they're fighting for, how they got these abilities, what these abilities mean, how strong Salem actually is. It made it so much more interesting. And then we get here to volume 7, which, you know, I'm happy that the series is continuing. But it's just so watered down to me because they're really focused on like some of the character relationships that you knew were going to happen anyway. Some of them are sort of like speculation relationships going on. And then there's the whole like election thing with like, it just seems like this, they're really, it's almost like a big chess game. And this season is focusing like on like, I don't want to say a pawn because it's focusing on like a bishop, if that makes any sense. It's because I understand that like what's happening now in volume 7 of RWBY is like obviously important to what's hopefully going to unravel. But knowing how Rooster Teeth has done this, and thank you for bringing it up, the Arcada's review, Glass Reflection actually did a review of RWBY like as a series recently. And I don't really want to like take shots. I want to, because I disagree with him about some parts, but then other points that he is spot on, and he's spot on in this is that like RWBY has this fucking expansive world, right? But it doesn't really delve into that much. And Volume 6 fixed that, and now we're sort of going back, right? For example, like if you told me we're in season 7 of a show, right? And we only know one of the many villains, reason for doing what they're doing. Backstory. We only know one of them. Salem. The big one, obviously. But she has many, like, for the first, like, 3 seasons, what's her name? Cinder was, like, this incredibly strong villain who we know next to nothing about. And hasn't been in Volume 7, by the way. Not for a second. Maybe I'm just butthurt about my fucking waifu Cinder not being there, but it dips its toes in the water a lot of the time. And then I think it just, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they have this big fucking plan for how it's going to be. And I do trust them because they have done an incredible story. Monty Ohm, God rest the guy's soul, but like created this amazing world, this amazing story. And then unfortunately passed away around season 3, I believe. And they kept it going. And they did what I think is an amazing job after, a guy that made this world passing, right? I think they've led it along a line that he could be proud of. But I also think that I really hope that they have like a plan in mind that is like the magnitude that we would want it to be, or at least that I want it to be. But as far as Arcana's review goes, I mean, I don't want to be like the most like controversial guy in the world. I joke in Discord and stuff about like that, but I think he's spot on about the animation of RWBY. I think it's certainly gotten a whole lot better. I actually have a whole video on why everybody should go watch RWBY. This isn't the RWBY podcast, but I know a lot of you probably have never seen RWBY in your life, so you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. But I hope that at least makes sense. Like, imagine getting to season 7 of a show, and next to nothing about any of the villains besides one. And hey, Doki, oh Young, what's up, man? But as far as shots at Arcana's review, animation he's spot on. I think he's pretty correct in the idea that like they sort of dip their toes into the water a lot of the time. I think he's also fairly right about a lot of the action scenes. He compared it to like Naruto, right? And how Naruto is one of my favorite fights in animation history. Gaara versus Lee in the Chunin exams, the 3rd round. An amazing fucking fight, right? It spans a couple episodes. Naruto has several of those. RWBY has the potential to do that because RWBY has this like really cool like magic system and power system going on, and weapons. By the way, every weapon is not only a bladed weapon, but is also a gun. But the fights are very short-winded, and the fights very rarely add up to anything. And they did have their own tournament arc for a little bit, and that was really cool. But as I mentioned, like as the world has like expanded, like the fights have gotten kind of dull. Like they've gotten to be, it's a short, very little clash with like one of the underling villain guys, or maybe some Grim or something like that, and then it's over. Like the bad guy gets away, or they kill the Grim, which are just like barely delved into, almost faceless creatures that live in the woods and shit. That they talk about different species of and stuff like that, but they're usually like one-offs. They usually fight them like once, and then we don't see them again for like a whole season. So I can see why that part would be frustrating. I still think RWBY is worth watching, and he did mention that. He just mentioned that he loves RWBY, he's just not in love with it. So I think he's fairly accurate. I do think that it is a series worth owning, which he did not say. I think he just said to like stream it. I think it's worth owning because I think I hope that it sort of goes down in terms of like Western animation as something that like we can look at to evolve from, or showcase that we can evolve, because that show has evolved more than like any other show I've seen in terms of like quality and effort and like passion that the people have put into it, for sure. Similarly, another thing that I did watch this week, which I watched all 3 seasons of on Netflix, was The Dragon Prince. Now, if you've never heard of this, this is the newest. Well, I think it started in like 2018. It was the newest project by Aaron. I don't think I'm going to pronounce this name correctly. Ahaz, the guy from Avatar, one of the people from Avatar: The Last Airbender, has this really cool Netflix series called The Dragon Prince. It's a fantasy realm kind of show. Dragons and elves and shit exist, as well as humans. But a long time ago, they all used to live together, and then some crazy shit happened, and the continent basically got split in half. And they said, elves, you live over here. With elves and dragons, you live over here. Humans, you fucking live over here. Fuck you. And the elves have magic from 6 primal sources on Earth: the sun, the moon, the stars, the sky, the earth, and the ocean. And they are born, not every one of them, I don't think, but like a lot of them are born with the natural connection to use magic. So they're a lot like better at it. Humans for centuries could not do any magic. Until they invented dark magic, which uses like alchemy like bullshit, where they're fucking basically taking like magical organisms and living beings and literally like transmuting them into magical energy. Like a lot of the time, a human, if they want to do dark magic, will take like a worm or like a mouse, or like usually like something small that might be from the Zadia, which is the magical place, and they kill it and use its like life force to generate lightning or to generate something. But that's like, that's not really the main story is about this dude who is the stepson of the king, and Callum. He's the stepson of the king. At the beginning of it, his dad has this like assassination attempt on him. Him and his brother get like sort of like pushed away. But it turns out that the elf people that are trying to kill the dad, they have this one waifu looking chick named Rayla, who is now my Discord icon, by the way, because Rayla is climbing up there on my new best girl tier. She's this elf chick with a Scottish accent, and she's pretty hot. But she, we're also assuming that she's 18. But yeah, she is a moon shadow elf assassin trying to kill the king of the human people, because a long time ago, it turns out that they, to their belief, destroyed the egg of the Dragon King, who is this like really high up dude in Zadia, the magic place. And, that kind of pissed everybody off. And I don't want to spoil like too much. It's 3 seasons. Each season is 9 episodes. It's sort of told just like Avatar was in books. Book 1 is Moon. Book 2 is Sky. Book 3 is Sun. Each 9 episodes long. All the episodes are like half an hour long. And as much, I'm not the hugest fan of the dude, but Jeff Thu, Mother's Basement, actually did a very solid video of this, I think like a few months back, about how the Dragon Prince actually captures the essence of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I agree with that. I think Avatar is still, obviously it's hard to compare like a completed work with a sequel to, something that's 3 seasons into what I'm hoping will be more seasons to come. So I think Avatar for now is sort of better. I also think Ruby is sort of better, but that's also kind of unfair. That has a lot more episodes and stuff. It is CG animation, so, if that disheartens you at all, I'm sorry. And it does have its issues with like frame rate, but it still looks way better than when Ruby started. Like if you're here and you made it through Ruby, like seasons 1 and 2, you got no problem with the Dragon Prince. That is not going to be a worry to you at all. Like, it's miles ahead of how Ruby was. But it's just got some frame rate issues. But like I said, Rayla is best girl in the series. Callum, main character, is pretty cool. I like him a lot. Even like, and Mother's Basement talked about it in his video, how like even the villains in Dragon Prince aren't, this is like a loose sort of thing, they aren't necessarily bad. Viren, the main evil guy, is literally just trying to do what he thinks is best for the world. And his problem isn't like, his main problem is that like he's very arrogant and he thinks that like he's the only one that is able to do the right thing. Basically what like every kingdom has done before him, and what every prince and whatever warrior, whoever has led humanity on this path, has done it incorrectly. And he's seeking to correct that by any means necessary, which takes him down some dark shit. He was, the main villain guy was best friends with the king for many years. And then, you know, all this conflict happens, and now he's trying to do some really dark shit. I mean, probably because his heart is fucked up because of dark magic. But I like the magic system of the world. It's really cool. Reminds me of Avatar. It reminds me sort of Bending. Bending was a little cooler because it was tied into like the martial arts, and like you had different like personalities doing different things. This is seemingly strictly like on where you're from. So like there are people from like the moon area, there are people from the sun area, and while these kingdoms that we've seen are pretty cool, and the magic that some of them do is interesting, it's not nearly as like identifiable as say like, oh, this is a characteristic of a firebender. This is a personality of like an earthbender, if you know what I mean. It would be hard to have one of these like 15 question quizzes that you see on YouTube about like which magic from Dragon Prince would you use. But it's cool. I usually don't like high fantasy stuff, elves, wizards, that fucking sort of shit. But this was awesome. I saw some clips of it on YouTube at one point and just looked it up. Saw that it was Aaron Ehaz from Avatar, and I was interested, and it was on Netflix. So it was like a perfect like recipe of simplicity. And you guys know me, if you've been watching me for a while, I very rarely binge anything. I watched all 27 episodes in 4 days. So maybe 3. That's like the first day I watched like 1 or 2 episodes. So like mainly 3 days. And I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. Check it out. Even check it out if you're not going to use Netflix. I'm sure it's on some other Gaio website. But I think it's worth watching for sure. I think if you were a fan of Avatar, I didn't watch Korra, so I don't know if you were butthurt about how Korra turned out. I'm assuming this is not like it, because it seems like Avatar OG fans seem to like the Dragon Prince. And I wish more people would talk about it. This was like a ghost to me. I didn't know it was like around for like it's been. I think it started in like 2018 or 2017. I had no idea. And as somebody that is always trying to advocate for more Western animation, American animation, whatever you want to say, I think it's a really cool thing that we have this. It has its like juvenile comedic jokes from time to time, but it's still like a fairly serious show. Like people fucking die and shit. It's, you know, not Teen Titans Go. I want more. That's something that I've always talked about here. I love anime. Don't get me wrong. Love anime. I wouldn't be doing videos and talking to you guys. I wouldn't know a lot of you really cool people if it wasn't for anime, and I think my life would be a whole lot different. However, I don't think anime is a term that we need to just limit to Japan. I think that everywhere you can have quality animation. It's just a matter of how serious do you want to take the narratives of animation, right? And how explorative do you want to be? Like, look at like Has Been Hotel, something that I promoted on here. This great, awesome fucking startup thing on YouTube. Not the most like serious story in the world, but fucking very interesting and is certainly a passion project for the people that worked on it. That shit is fucking awesome, and I want more than that. I would love to be like, I just have no fucking like artistic talent. I would love to have my own like show that I worked on. Maybe if I paid more attention to like writing in my life, or if I went to like if I actually like focused on that more in school, that'd be something. Because I would love to have like my name attached to something like Aaron Ehas does, and the people at Vivzy Pop do for Heart Hasbin Hotel. But when can we see Miasma's waifu tier list? My waifu tier list. Ooh. You know, that's a fantastic idea for a video. Maybe I'll make one on Tier Maker. But that's also implying that like one of the waifus or more of the waifus is like a low rank. That's going to be like a scuffed tier list. That's going to be like, unless we're saying like, unless I'm pulling together like a bajillion waifus. Like, does anybody know of a tier? If I'm sure there is. There's probably a Tier Maker list that is like all like generic waifus. Like it probably has like Asuna and fucking Misty and shit there. Like any female anime character that's been like considered waifu material. I'm sure that there's a list of that. Maybe I would do that. I would also like, I think you can do this, right? I think I could take their list and like add to it. Because if I did, I certainly have some waifus that nobody's ever fucking heard of, basically. Coco from Jormungand is one of them. And I know that sounded like gibberish to most of you guys. But Jormungand is a fantastic anime, and Coco Hekmetiar is fucking... Coco is loco, but she is my waifu for sure. Korra has cool fights, but it would have worked better as a film. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I'm reluctant to watch Korra because it was sort of like... I was just so comfortable with how Avatar ended. I didn't really want any more. I didn't really care about like I don't know. It seemed kind of like derivative to me. Like it just seemed like, oh, here's the future generation. It's like Boruto. Like I don't watch Boruto. Like Boruto seems cool from a distance, but I don't know. They're called side waifus. I could tell you some characters that would definitely be on the waifu list. I'm not going to necessarily write them. Well, we know Sango for sure. Sango from Inuyasha, Coco from Jormungand, Rayla from Dragon Prince, because we are going to count that as anime here. Yang Xiaolong from Ruby, Cinder from Ruby, Salem from Ruby. Ruby tends to be pretty good with that. Who else is here? I feel like there's somebody I'm missing here. If we're talking Pokemon, Janine, because she's the poison gym leader. Where does the Ghost Lady rank in your waifu tier list? The Ghost Lady. Oh, that's a fantastic segue. Yuko from Dusk Maiden of Amnesia, which is another thing that I've been watching now. 5 episodes in, I believe. Yuko, I always want to say Yoko. I believe it's Yuko. It's annoying how like repetitive the show is with like throwing it at you that she's hot. For those of you that don't know, Just Made of Amnesia is about this fucking ghost girl that this one guy in the school can see, and she's like a teenager. She's like a senior age, I guess, and he's like a freshman, I think. And she's like kind of hot, but she's like nobody ever can see her. Sorry, nobody can see her. So the fact that this kid can see her like excites her heavily, and she's very playful with him. To the point where like she's constantly like fan servicey, while rubbing all over him and shit, and getting like naked in front of him and stuff, because to her it feels it's a good feeling for someone to actually look at her. Conceptually, it makes sense, but no person would actually do the things that she's actually doing. I feel like what's ironic is the only situation where she actually gets uncomfortable, which I don't really want to spoil, but J Chip knows what I'm talking about. There is a point where she gets very uncomfortable. What's Harry? But in terms of the tier list, Yuko is hot, but she's kind of annoying. But I remember a long time ago where I watched a Dusk Maiden review. I think it was Black Critic Guy. And I remember him enjoying the series. And to be honest, I think it's okay. But he seemed to enjoy it a lot more than I was. And a lot of that he attributed to the backstory of Yuko as a character, which you get, I guess, a lot more toward the back half of the show. Because early on, we don't know a whole lot about her. So she just seems kind of, sort of annoying, but she's still, like, attractive. She'd be, like, on, like, the lower end. Like, she would, like, make the list, but she's certainly not cracking, like, top 20 or anything. If it was, like, 25, she'd be, like, 25 to 22 range. What about Harry Lolly's waifu? The internet is not ready for Harry Lolly's waifu tier list. Let me tell you. It is not ready for that. Oh, good. Dread will be on soon, I believe. But yeah, of course I have to make an invite for this for my good friend here. But she would be toward like the lower end, I would say, of that kind of list. Just like personality has to be a factor in here, and she's kind of annoying. So I don't like that. Like I used to really like the concept of Fu from Samurai Champloo's like character design, because I love like feudal Japan shit. I love like her fucking outfit and everything, and but she's really annoying as a character, and even in like a real life girl, like if you're like really annoying, like I don't think I'm really going to want to hang out with you. But she'd be up there. But Dusk Maiden, right? I don't know if any of you guys out there have watched Dusk Maiden of Amnesia, but I'm like halfway through it. It's okay. It's got a fucking bomb ass OP and visuals. It's really pretty looking for like a 2012 anime. It looks really good, and I think it was Silverlink that did this. But it looks really good. It's got cool music. It's got a cool, creepy score because it's got sort of horror elements going on. It's got a lot of like dumb jokes though, which I just wish it didn't have so much dumbness in it. It does have a fire OP. I love in the OP how she's like, at one point the girl is like singing with it, and at the beginning, that's toward the end. At the beginning, she has like a fan, and she's like dancing to it. Dusk Maiden was just okay. I think that's a very accurate statement. I think like, only halfway in, so it's hard for me to really. It's sort of unfair, I think, for me to really score it because it could fucking blow me away in the second half. I would give it like a 6, I guess, and I would certainly say to like stream it rather than own it. Just because I don't think this is, if anybody has like tastes similar to mine, I think that they're going to be sort of annoyed by a lot of Yuko's actions, and a lot of the little blonde girl that's part of the Ghost Club is also pretty annoying. The one voiced by Brittany Karbowski, the one that can't see the ghosts. I like the skinny green hair girl. That's the serious like tsundere one, that's actually like really terrified of ghosts, yet is in the paranormal club. I'm pretty sure second half was much better. That's what seems to be what people are leading me to believe, and I would hope so. I also did a little research, and I know that the anime ended, I believe, in 2012, if not early 2013, I think. And the manga, I don't believe, ended until like a year after that. So whatever ending that this is going to have, I'm a little worried. Because that tells me that they either made up their own ending or it's some kind of like, go read the manga ending. Now, I'm not the person that says the ending is paramount by any means, but it's going to be sort of a bummer if I don't if I get all the way to the end and I don't find out like more stuff about Yuko and shit. Why is your beard different color in my head? I don't know, man. I attribute that to the nation of Ireland. I have no idea. There are multiple men in my family that have brown hair and red facial hair. None of them have nearly as much facial hair as I have or can grow. But when they do, it's usually like a goatee that's like red. And I don't know. The only connection we have is that we're all like Irish. That's hence the paleness. Yeah, I don't know why. I when I go get my haircut or something like that, I have had people like go like, "Oh, do you dye it?" No, I don't fucking dye it. Why the fuck would I dye my beard? Unless it was for some fucking intricate cosplay bullshit, which is not the case. It just grows like that, man. I kind of like it. I like to, think that maybe I have some like Viking ancestry somehow. Maybe some fucking like 6'10", 350 muscly behemoth Viking went down into the fucking Ireland and shit and fucked mad bitches. And that's my ancestor. You don't diet? No. That's funny. I don't diet. No. Yeah, actually, no. I don't diet and I do diet at the same time. I don't dye the beard, but I do try to stick to keto. If anybody gives a shit about that, probably nobody. But your ancestor is a caveman from Primal. Don't you put that evil on me, Late. Don't you put that evil on me. Hello, by the way. I barely know. You've been commenting for a while, and I barely noticed it was you because you and J-Chip both have yellow fucking logos. Irish too. I'm dirty blonde on top, and my facial hair goes dark brown. There you go. But I do not want my ancestor to be the caveman from Primal because that means that he's a boring fuck. At least I guess that means that like if he was my ancestor, right? That means he gets to ride fucking dinosaurs and shit. Wait a minute, he can't. He can't be my ancestor. His fucking whole family got eaten by goddamn T-Rexes or raptors or some shit. Dinosaurs. His family got eaten by dinosaurs. Spoiler to episode 1 of Primal. Unless he went on to like bang other cave bitches later. Probably shouldn't refer to them as cave bitches, but I don't think any of them are around to sue me. But yeah. So Duskmaiden of Amnesia. I think what Sweepy said, it's an okay show. I think my expectations of it were a little higher than what I thought, but its aesthetic is really cool. It's got a very cool soundtrack and OP and everything. And the other thing. Oh my goodness. I know somebody out here is gonna know like what I'm talking about. I like all the cools in the chat, by the way. You know what is cool? I have a dark eyes. I just said dark eyes, blue eyes, white dragon t-shirt going on. But in Duskmaiden, this is from a very, I'm going to say brief, but a very like, I think forgotten era of English dubs of anime where, and I know some of you are going to know what I'm talking about when I say this. It's dubbed in English, yet they keep the honorifics. And if you know anything about Japanese language, you know that like they use like honorifics, it's like a respect thing for certain people that you engage in conversation with and everything. It makes sense in Japanese culture. I don't think it makes much sense when they're talking in English. It sounds fucking weird when they're all like, Taichi-kun, what are you doing? I think I'm in love with Taichi-kun. when they're fucking doing that shit. Oh, there's the man of the hour.
Yo.
Hello. Welcome to the party. Oh, did we already get a DC? Oh, wow. Oh,
was that on your end? Because I didn't disconnect.
Oh, you were frozen on my end, but maybe it was me. I haven't blue screen. I haven't blue screened yet, so we're that much better than last week.
Oh, that's great.
I was just talking about like several things, but like I said, first of all, highlight. I think everybody should check out Dragon Prince on Netflix. It's very good because I watched all of it this week.
Okay.
It's the next. If you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's the next project by that guy. Pretty good.
Okay.
By one of the guys. Really, really cool. Then we were talking about Duskmaiden, and I talked about my thoughts on the show, which are sort of
Did you finish it yet?
No, I'm on episode 6, so like halfway.
Halfway.
And I think I had like slightly high expectations. I don't know, but the visuals are really cool. The OP is really nice. I think the music is sometimes really.
It's an all right, but
eerie.
Eventually you'll forget what happened. Kind of show.
I think like a year from now, I'm going to be like, what the fuck was Duskmaiden of Amnesia? I feel like I'm going to have amnesia about Duskmaiden of Amnesia.
Maybe that's the point.
I'm really annoyed by all the stupid fan service jokes that it has, but they make it seem like it's because Yuko's like, nobody ever sees me, so I like it when this boy sees me. But then I don't know, it's weird. But my problem, I had this technical problem that I was just talking about, which was this is from an era of dubs where they kept the honorifics in, and it feels very out of place. Like, Teiichi-kun. Teiichi-kun. I think I love you.
Teiichi, but I was close.
I think I love you, Teiichi-kun. Why don't you look at me, Teiichi-kun?
Yuko-san.
Yuko-san, yeah. Yuko-san. And they all do it besides one of my favorite characters is the green-haired girl, the like tsundere one. She just calls him Teiichi. So like it feels like
honestly,
way more.
I don't remember any of the characters except for Yuko and Teiichi. I didn't even remember Teiichi's name. Like I said, I thought it was Keiichi. But I remember him because he sort of looks like the main character from Medaka Box.
Okay.
And that's one of my friend's favorite shows, so I have to remember what the main character from Medaka Box looks like, even though I don't remember his name.
That was another thing I was going to mention is I'm now 5 episodes in, and it's supposed to be at a school. But there's only 4. This entire
students.
time, there's only been 4 students, and that's bullshit. You can't just say to me that it's like, oh, because they hang out in the wing that's not used anymore. I get that for their meetings, which is also weird that school just allows a club to just meet in the fucking like spider-filled back room, where there's a dead body. By the way, spoiler alert. But
look, school and anime does not have to make sense.
You're supposed to hang out on the roof, okay? That's where you're supposed. That's where every Japanese kid who's struggling with life is.
Yeah, that's where Ray Kiriyama liked the roof.
Yeah, and he's a great character. But there's only like these 4 characters in the whole show until this last episode. They had like background characters for the first time. But I at first this didn't bother me until like I think it's episode 3 or 4. There's a thing where like there's a moment where they're going into the school pool during the day, and they're acting like it's some sort of like I don't know if it's like a class thing or something, but they're the only ones in the pool. There's no lifeguard. There's no teacher.
Honestly, everything you're saying, I don't even remember about Duskmaiden because the only thing I remember is that there was a dead body. I've seen the show twice, and I don't remember anything about it.
Maybe that's a curse of the show. But because Jane Chip asked where I would rank Yuko on my waifu list, and she's pretty but annoying. I don't like her personality, but then people tell me that she gets better later on. So I don't know.
See, I don't remember, so I can't tell you.
Yeah, I feel a lot of dubs did this in the early 2010s, Yeah, I think you're right. I'm trying to think of another one that drops the honorifics a lot. And I know I've heard it, but I think I tried to wipe it out of my memory. But this one is really thrown in there. It's like every sentence.
See, the only thing I can take honorifics in, like, really is Persona.
Okay.
Just because that's been, like, it's been that way since I played my first Persona game. And I got used to it that way. And it kind of just makes sense that the whole thing is taking place like slice of life Japanese, like a slice of life in a Japanese school. And it's like somewhat more realistic than anime portrays it as. Mm. I don't want to say that the way Persona portrays school is realistic in any way, because it isn't, but it's closer to reality.
Do the kids hang out on the roof?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that happens in 5.
Okay. Nice.
So that's why I said we'll separate it a little bit. It's closer.
Mysterious Girlfriend X is a better version of Dusk Maiden. I have not seen Mysterical, by the way. Mysterious Girlfriend X. Also my fave. I agree with Lord Kobe. So Jade Chip is also on the Mysterious Girlfriend X bandwagon. I also think another.
Were those the only things that you were watching? Or was there something else you talked about?
I finished Dr. Stone, and I watched the new episode of Vinland Saga, which was kind of boring. And I talked about how
that's only got one more episode, right?
Yeah, 23. I just watched 23, so I'm assuming it's 24 or 26. But I was talking about Dr. Stone. It's fucking awesome because it exceeded my expectations so much, and how it, like, I thought going into the season, like, I thought like Vinland Saga would be this like fucking lead horse way out in front, and I'm almost thinking that, like, because I love the manga, but there are just episodes of Vinland Saga where I'm very bored, and I was never bored reading it, so I don't know if it's just
the pacing.
That's what I was thinking.
The episode just feels more drawn out than if you were reading it.
Yeah, and they're doing a very good job of like it's pretty much like they're not really adding anything or making anything longer. It just feels less smooth. Like it. Whereas I never read Dr. Stone, but like with Dr. Stone, there are times where, like, if I had to complain about anything, I don't like when it just becomes like 15 minutes of like Bill Nye the Science Guy bullshit, where it's like, how are we going to make this? You need to actually get the magnet rock and you need to spin it across this thing, and that creates enough force.
So after watching the show, because I had so many issues with the manga, I really like the show, but also now that I've finished reading Naruto and I've finished reading Bleach now, I've come to realize that the inventions are Senku's fights. So if you take it into the context of Ichigo fighting a hollow and he hits it and the hollow powers up, and so he has to power up more to fight the powered up hollow.
Yeah. He's knocking down an obstacle.
His inventions are similar to that.
He's knocking down an obstacle in front of him.
In
front of society. He's doing fucking amazing shit.
It's just kind of bullshit.
I mean, I'd imagine that a lot of the science probably checks out. It's just a matter.
I never really looked into a lot of the science. Like, I looked into maybe a couple things and they checked out, so I'm not going to assume that all of it does. But the little that I did check out, I just think it's kind of bullshit that Senku knows everything.
Yeah, he does know fucking everything about everything.
I just hope, because I'm going to pick the manga back up from where the next season I think is going to end. And I'm just going to see if there's a problem that he can't solve. I did go a couple chapters past that, and I do know that they are searching for a new character that is going to help them solve a problem. I just want to let's continue on that, see if he actually solves it, or if Senku's like, oh, I like your idea, now I know what to do.
Yeah. I tried to rattle off in my brain like the many things that he's brought to the world samurai swords, cotton candy, a record player,
Ramen.
light bulbs, ramen, cola. Sorry, did he actually do cola yet? I don't remember.
Yeah, he did it for
He actually gave Gen the cola. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't remember that. I knew that's what Gen wanted.
Penicillin.
Yep, medicine.
Gas masks.
Glasses.
Electricity.
Eyeglasses. Electricity light bulb. Gas masks. I still don't see toilets. But so I just imagine everybody.
They're probably still like
everybody
in the back.
Everybody's just shitting on trees. Is that where we're at still? They never show that. Like Kohaku's hot, but they never show her like
squatting down.
Hold on a second. That might ruin all the fucking Rule 34 fucking artists.
That might give somebody an idea.
Actually, I like Ruri more anyway.
You like the sick girl?
She's not sick anymore. Spoiler alert, I guess. She's not sick anymore. She's the oracle of the fucking village. She's nice.
Kohaku like that Yuzuriha?
Yuzuriha, okay. I think I'm getting I don't want to say withdrawals, but I'm getting just because she hasn't been on the screen for a long time until the very end here, she's been gone. So I don't know my thoughts on Yuzuriha now. I'm kind of weirded out by the pink hair girl, who
the one that they haven't done too much with yet. That you'll see more in season 2.
Okay, she just sits on a tree and takes her cotton candy, that they give to her, for whatever reason. I'm assuming there's maybe that ties in later. I don't know. The dude with the staff or whatever that is sort of interesting, like a stick.
Oh, Hyoga
thing. Yeah. How he's unbeatable. He's fighting people that have swords with this stick thing. But yeah, that show has impressed me a lot, and I'm definitely excited to. I don't think I would delve into the manga. I think I would just wait. Versus something like I'm having thoughts with March Comes in Like a Lion and how I haven't seen anything about any more seasons. Nor have I seen it coming over as a manga in English. So I'm thinking about just reading it online from where season 2 ended.
Oh, did season 2 not cover the rest of the manga?
No. Manga's still going.
Oh.
March Comes in Like a Lion is still going.
Okay.
Yeah. Season 2 only goes up to I want to say chapter 40 or 50, and I'm pretty sure they're in the 60s.
I take it it's monthly.
Yeah, I think so. And I think she's done I think Chika Umino has had a bunch of hiatuses.
Oh, so she's like Togashi.
Her back hurts, dude. Let's see. I want to be accurate about this manga. So the manga started she started writing it in 2007. It's weird to think about. It was first released in February of 2008. It was February. Then there wasn't any. This is when Tankobon volumes were released. So I don't know how is it serialized in Haku Sensha, whatever that is. But I believe the anime only goes up into not 40. Jesus Christ. I forgot. Every episode's 2 chapters of the manga. So at
80,
least
70, 80.
Yeah. Or even closer to 100, I want to say. I think it's maybe high 80s. And so far, as of December of 2018, they're on chapter 152.
Oh, you were way off.
Yeah. So chapter 152 as of December of 18. But the last Tankobon volume to be put together was in December 21st of 18. So there's that. And then just the two seasons of anime, and then a 2-part live action film. Which
I think that would work fine as a live action film.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm assuming it would. But I want another season of the anime. It's as it being one of my favorite series to come out in a long time. And it kind of sucks that like I just want more of the story. I'd rather see it animated. Like if I could just if tomorrow they were just like, oh hey, we're gonna do season 3, I would just wait. But if it's not gonna happen, I'm just gonna
say something.
I'm just gonna delve into the manga. One Piece is probably my favorite manga right now. The fact Oda had a 10-year long build and for payoff is just amazing. Even the Cake Island arc is great, and I'm shocked.
I would say I know. I didn't look at the director of the new Madoka Magica series coming out, but I would assume if it's still by Shaft, it would have to be Akiyuki Shinba. So he might be a little busy for the next 2 seasons.
Nah, dude. He's fine.
Yeah, he's actually only he's only doing animation check on it.
Really?
Yeah. He's not directing it.
I'm looking on Wikipedia. I should be looking on ANN. Not ANN. Fucking.
So you could hold out hope. Maybe maybe they'll turn around and they'll be like, okay, March comes in like a lion season 3.
Now, is this Madoka Magica movie supposed to be like?
It's based on the mobile game.
Okay.
So
it
I don't know anything about the mobile game.
Did you watch Rebellion?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that that tied into my question heavily. I was about to say like, does the show matter? Because a lot of fucking stuff happens in Rebellion. That I wish there was more of. But no, Rebellion happened.
I have a feeling they're releasing this just to see if people want more, even though they know people want more.
I definitely want more. Yeah, I do. Fucking. Oh my god, I like pocketed that series in my brain. I remember I watched that movie twice because it like rattled me so much. I was like, holy, in like a good way.
So there's a pocket in your brain of Madoka Magica, but there's not a pocket in your brain that's going to save Dusk Maiden of Amnesia.
No. Maybe the OP because it's. Cool
I already feel like that. Like I actually already feel like that because there's a pocket of my brain that remembers a lot of Naruto, and then I'm already forgetting Bleach. Like so, I finished Bleach this morning.
Okay. How's the 1,000-Year Blood Arc?
It was okay. I would say all of Bleach was okay.
It's Dusk Maiden.
First 2 arcs. Soul Society was decent. I just think all the slice of life shit was way too front loaded in it. And then it just from that point on, for some reason, it feels like Kubo just wanted. I said it like this last time I mentioned it to somebody. It felt like he wanted to make an action movie, so he wrote Bleach. Because all Bleach is it's jumping from fight to fight to fight until the arc ends.
True. But you would say Naruto doesn't do that?
I would say Naruto at least has a lull between certain events that happen. Like, if they're not fighting, okay, they might be running, but then there's also those elements where Naruto has to learn something, Sakura has to learn something. Those learning moments are also kind of not that big in Bleach. You have Ichigo learning Bankai, Ichigo learning Fullbring, Renji learning Bankai. Off the top of my head,
I can only compare what I've seen. So, like, I've seen almost all of Naruto, and no, I'm never going to finish Shippuden. If any of my friends that want me to finish Shippuden is watching this, I already know everything that happens. I don't need to finish it. No, I'm not watching Boruto.
Don't watch Boruto. Read Boruto.
Maybe, but I fucking so and then Bleach. I watched just the anime up until they had just gotten into the Soul Society to go get Rukia, and we just got introduced to like Gin and shit. And,
See, that's about where I stopped watching the anime, because the anime just kind of, I had to look at a filler guide, and I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah. But so, and I want to say that's like maybe 30 episodes or so.
This sounds about right.
So if you compare that with Naruto's first 30 episodes, Naruto's first 30 episodes introduces you to, you know, obviously the main guy himself, and then you get this incredible arc with Zabuza and Haku, very short-lived but emotional.
The Land of the Waves, yeah, that was
Land of Waves arc. Then it goes into probably, if not my favorite, one of my favorite arcs.
The Chunin exams.
Chunin exams.
Oh, that Chunin exams is great.
Which just what you were talking about, how like in Bleach, it's just fights, whereas it seems like in Naruto, you're talking about how they're learning something.
Even if you take the Chunin exams as an arc itself, yeah, the focus is mainly on the combat and the characters learning to fight with each other. But you do have those moments where it takes away, especially after Lee gets destroyed by Gaara. You get to see the outside, like, what does Iruka think about what's going on? What happened, given sometimes in flashbacks, what happened when these characters got nominated to go into the Chunin exams, etc. And then you have the interruption of the exam as well, which leads you into the next arc.
Yeah. Then it slightly goes a little like that was like, as much as I love the Chunin exams, when the invasion starts, I'm kind of like, that's when I started to be like meh about it. Like I thought it was pretty cool, but then like because then the invasion happens, they fight with the sand and the sound. Fucking Sasuke gets his man period and starts like wanting to leave.
I also feel like, I mean, Naruto doesn't do this all the time, but for the most part, I think Kishimoto thought a little deeper about who fights who than Kubo did.
Yeah.
I feel like Kubo just threw characters to fight together because he needed people to fight.
That's it. We haven't seen this guy's sword yet. I gotta give him a fight. Holy shit, he's in the background of all this shit.
I mean, Bleach has some really good fights, don't get me wrong,
has some really cool swords. I know of a lot of the swords.
Great for certain characters' arcs. But I think Naruto had the stronger reasoning to put certain characters in fights with each other.
Hey, Axel, by the way.
So, since you didn't make it that far into the anime,
I know of some shit that happens because it's one of my friend's favorite anime.
So the Soul Society arc happened, and honestly, I didn't have way too many issues with it, other than all the slice of life stuff was front loaded. Then the Arrancar arc happened, and I realized, okay, this is just fight, like a line of fights. I like these characters. They're all amazingly designed, and they're interesting visually. Okay. I want to know more about them. And it's just fight. I can't tell you half of the names of the Arrancars. Not even the Espada, which are like the top 10. I can name maybe 5 Espada. Like, I should know those 10 strongest ones. They're kind of important. And that's another issue Kubo has with Bleach.
He just keeps throwing foreign words into his anime and just naming groups of people after them?
Okay, there's that. But every arc introduces this new set of villains, whether it's the captains and the assistant captains from the Soul Society arc, or the Arrancar, or the Fullbringers. Technically villains, not so much, depending. And then the Quincy's in the last arc, there's like 20 to 30 of each of them. And I'm like, I don't remember half to 3/4 of you.
I remember, I think my friend was anime only, but I know it's one of his favorite shows. He'll probably watch this in the future, but like, if not now. But I know I know the thing that I have to do to get him triggered is just because he loves like a lot of the philosophy, I guess, of Bleach. If I'm using that, or just like The thing to get him triggered is if I go, yeah, I kind of like the Quincy's, because he fucking hates what the Quincy's like do and stand for, at least from what his perspective of it.
So, in the first 2 arcs that are in the anime, I didn't feel like there was much philosophy to be had. It was pretty clear cut that Soul Reaper's good, Soul Reaper's good, Hollow's evil. Quincy's doing wrong thing by killing Hollows.
If I remember right, it's just one eradicates the evil versus one redeems the evil. Or
that's essentially it. Yeah. When you get past the Arrancar arc into the Fullbringer arc, or what really is an arc that shouldn't have existed, I love the Fullbringer arc. I thought it was the most interesting arc in the story, but they do nothing with.
Is that the one where he loses his powers and has to get them back or something?
Yeah. So from what I read, the editors pushed Kubo to bring back the Soul Reaper powers. Come on, ratings are dropping. So he kind of rushed the Fullbringer arc, and it didn't turn out as good as it really should have. But it had an interesting villain where he could, like, write himself into people's pasts, but not change the past itself. So everybody would believe that, say he wanted to make you a friend.
Okay.
There's a scene where Ichigo walks into his house, and Fullbringer arc did a really good job at balancing that whole slice of life action thing that I was talking about. There was a good amount of both of them, to where it felt like Ichigo isn't just this machine that's fighting. He has a life outside of fighting.
Yeah.
So in the Fullbringer arc, there's a scene where he comes home and he's like saying hi to his sisters or whatever after a long day of Fullbringer training. And they're like, hey, our cousin came to visit, and the main villain's sitting in the fucking couch. He's like, hey, how are you? And then his friends walk in and they're like, oh, we haven't seen Shu in such a long time. And he's like, you changed all of their fucking memories? And I'm like, this is actually really interesting, because I wasn't moved by the original villain. Like, the original villain of the first 2 arcs that everybody creams over, Aizen, I thought he was boring as shit. Like, if you compare him to Orochimaru or Pain,
I've heard he's ridiculously powerful. I guess his ability is like insane. I guess it's some crazy hypnosis, right?
His ability is to.
Spoiler alert! It's been out for years, people.
It's basically hypnosis. Yeah, he creates illusions in some odd way, where if you see his sword, he can change your perception of things.
Like the actual blade, or can I just see like any of the sword?
See, I didn't understand that.
If I see the hilt, am I fucked?
Because they're like, oh, Ichigo, you can defeat him because you haven't seen his sword, but then clearly when he's fighting him, he sees his sword. I assume it's seeing his sword as he unleashes his Shikai. I don't know.
Bleach's fight, throwing fight's fun, and the anime gets if the anime gets me invested in something, it's tend to be enough to get me through lame fights. I love the Quincy's. Yeah, that's One Piece for me. The fights blow dick, but the other stuff it does is great. Aizen's intro was great, but Kubo barely did anything with him.
And finally, you have the Blood War arc, which is really good, I think. Like, I think it had a strong start, and then it fell into the same thing kind of the Arrancar arc did, where there's 20 different characters that we got to introduce that are all basically one-off villains that aren't that important, that have sort of different powers. And instead of with the Arrancar arc, where he used all Spanish words, now he's using all German words. Unfortunately, like, that arc, I think it was better than the Arrancar arc, but then he had to rush the ending because of editors again.
And that's the one that's not adapted, right?
It didn't get adapted, no.
Okay. So let me ask this, because being someone that hasn't read or watched past what I did watch, and because I mentioned this comparison earlier when I was talking before you heard about Dragon Prince, and I was comparing it to Aaron Eahaz's previous work of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and how, and I cited, I don't think this guy's the greatest in the world, but Mother's Basement actually did a very cool video about Dragon Prince and how it sort of fills the void that Avatar left for him.
All right.
And I very much agree. And I watched that after watching the series, because I went to YouTube and I was like, I haven't heard anybody fucking ever talking about this. So I was like, who did? And of course, and then he did. So, but, and when I was thinking about both of them, I was thinking about how much I love the concept of powers, and one might say a magic. We'll use the term magic system. So something that heavily interests me in shows like this. So like this isn't really a spoiler, but in Dragon Prince there's humans, there's elves, and then there's dragons. There's other things, I'm pretty sure, but basically that's what a majority of the story is about.
Okay.
Dragons and the elves, it all used to be one country a long time ago. Humans did some fucked up shit, and then they made this border that said elves and dragons over here, humans over here. However, the elves and the dragons are able to do magic, some of them from birth, because they have a natural connection to these 6 pillars or something. There's 6 primal forces, that's what it is. 6 primal forces of magic, which are the sky, the moon, the sun, the ocean, the earth, and the something else. And then humans can't do magic. They have no natural connection to the primal sources. So they, for a long time, could not do magic. So they were always at a disadvantage. They can only take up bows and arrows and shit. Until they invented dark magic. And dark magic in the series is portrayed as like corrupt alchemy. Because what it basically does is to do, first of all, not every human can do it. But to do dark magic, you have to basically use the life force of a magical being. Or
so you have to take, say, an elf and like sap its magical energy from it.
That would be like
the corrupted magic.
They're getting more towards that. It was on a much smaller scale before. It would be like, in order to shoot lightning, I have to crush this caterpillar. And I take his life force in my left hand turns into a beam of light in my right hand. Okay. I say this incantation or whatever. And so obviously the elven people they very much look down on that. Because on their perspective, magic is this natural thing that for them it seems dependent on where you are, and we've only seen like 2 of their kingdoms, the sun and the moon, or the sky and the moon. But in comparison to like Avatar, what was really cool to me about Avatar is how it was weaved into martial arts, and how you had these different sort of cultural personality traits of certain benders. Like earthbenders had a certain sort of attitude about something. Firebenders had a certain tenacity. Fortunately, we don't get a lot of airbenders. But
the last airbender,
and then how their movements are is all different depending on what they're doing. They're all just moving an object around, or in the fire case, making fire out of nowhere. But so I think Avatar's was a little cooler looking, whereas this is in Dragon Prince is a lot of just like incantation things or something like that, or like they're literally like the LARPers yelling lightning bolt, except it's some weird like Latin shit, or Elven, whatever fuck, shooting lightning and shit. But it's cool. So I would ask this, and like, one thing that I loved heavily in Naruto was the chakra system. And like I said, like a while back, I was talking about like Hunter x Hunter, Yu Yu Hakusho, and how I think that the guy that wrote those definitely understands like a magic system or a power system. How would you compare the Naruto power system with the Bleach power system of I don't know if we want to say I don't know if we want to limit it to the swords or whatever. Because I remember there's swords, and then there was some weird shit where they were like Bakudo number 99 or some shit. And they're like, you're frozen.
The Soul Reapers had their Zanpakuto and their Kido, which were their sword and their spells. So they had all sorts of different spells like Hado and like 100 levels of Hado spells, all that. If we're talking just Soul Reaper, I would say, especially with the Kido system, not that it's delved into deep enough for you to really understand too much what's going on, but the concept of the spells ascending in number to 100 being the highest caliber Hado, that makes sense to me. That's really simple. It's not as in-depth as the chakra system is. But if we go beyond Soul Reapers and we include Hollows, Fullbringers, Quincy, and Arankar, I think it gets really messy, because when you take into account that the Soul Reapers have Bankai, the Arankar, for lack of better terms, I'm just going to call it resurrection because it's the Spanish word for that, and Quincy's have holy form, which again is the German word they use for that. They're essentially all the same thing. It's just, in essence, Bankai is the Soul Reaper's most powerful state. Holy form is the most powerful state of the Quincy. Resurrection is the most powerful form of the Arankar. Each one kind of has its own little additions to it, but I wouldn't say that they're different enough to warrant calling them anything new, other than just for flavor, really. And then you have the whole thing of Ichigo being human, Soul Reaper, Hollow, Quincy. I
was going to ask, does the scale get like ridiculous?
It gets absolutely insane.
Like Naruto. Like, Naruto, well, if you've read Naruto, that bothers me with Naruto is like in the beginning, they're like, I always bring up substitution. Substitution used to matter. Hand signs used to matter. Doing things at a particular time used to matter. You go to Shippuden and Madara's throwing a goddamn meteor at me. What the fuck am I supposed to do about this guy throwing a meteor?
So Madara and Kaguya, even though there was some absurdity in what they did, even going beyond Kaguya into the rest of the Otsutsuki clan and Boruto, I still think there's kind of like a grounded reality in that universe to where it all makes sense. Bleach, Aizen kind of got a little too absurd at a point where he just started constantly transforming into new forms and just playing like around. But Aizen wasn't that absurd compared to the last villain, Yawak, or however the hell his name is supposed to be said, who was literally the god of Quincy. Like, dude woke up, absorbed everybody that wasn't a pureblood Quincy, and now he's got this whole pocket dimension inside the Soul Society where the Soul Reapers can't find him, and he pops out of there with all his Quincy friends, and they're going to take over the Soul Society. And when they take over the Soul Society, not only is the Arankar world going to go down, not only is the human world going to go down, all the worlds are going to go down. He's going to reshape life. It's going to be a new world order. So the stakes of the last arc of Bleach are literally universe breaking. The stakes of the last arc of Naruto are kind of just everybody dying.
Or sitting there staring at the moon.
Yeah.
But that's before
yeah, realistically, it was a mental death. Mm-hmm. it wasn't. I mean, in the future, they would become white Zetsus. You could argue physical death there, but Bleach's final goal and how absurd it got was the dude's power was literally to see what was going to happen in the future. And he kept trying to explain it in different ways. The only way that he was actually, spoiler, the only way he was actually destroyed was because Aizen fought him.
Fights the Quincy guy?
Yeah. If it wasn't for Aizen, the fight wouldn't have actually... Ichigo wouldn't have been able to kill him. With all the absurdity of Ichigo, Aizen had to be there.
Because Ichigo's everything, dude. Ichigo's a fucking fusion, XYZ, synchro, link monster.
Going into Bleach, I knew that Ichigo was all these things, and I will say at least that they do a good, like Kubo does a good job at making that all make sense as to how he's a Soul Reaper, a Quincy, all this and that.
All right.
I'll give him points. Like that actually, that comes together. It makes sense.
Credit to him after 1,000 chapters or whatever of making that make sense. Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, I always like. There are days like I thought I was going to go back to Bleach, and I was like, well,
I would say it's not worth your time, to be honest.
That's the other thing. Because I know, but J-Chip powered through Inuyasha, and he was like, "Oh, you should watch Bleach." And I was like, "Oh, we'll go back to it someday." But I still have to finish Yu Yu Hakusho, and the other shit.
See, like you got to get to Chapter Black.
Well, I am in Chapter Black.
You got to finish Chapter Black though, because Chapter Black by itself is like better than all of Bleach.
That sounds like a video title. Chapter Black is better than all of Bleach. Fight me, and it's Yusuke like doing a fucking spirit gun and fucking like Orihime going like I reject. And
honestly, I don't think many people would argue that I'd be wrong.
I'm sure there's some dedicated Bleach.
Oh, I'm sure there are, but I want them to actually try to make sense as to why anything in Bleach was better than Chapter Black.
I'm gonna circle back before I end for tonight. I'll circle back, especially because Axel said, check out Dragon Prince when it's done. If you take nothing else from this, I highly recommend it because I never binge anything, as I mentioned, and I watched. It's 3 9-episode seasons so far. So 27 episodes in basically 3 days, 3 or 4 days. They're all like half an hour long. It's like a normal Western show. And and I might still check it out light. I mean, Netflix originals can be Netflix originals. I get that. But if you enjoyed Avatar at all, and I think more importantly, and I don't want this to be like I want you to understand that it's a good show, but I also want to bring up the fact that it is a Western animation that isn't necessarily for children. And I fucking love that, and I want more of that in life. That is my dream someday, that my grandchildren are, with their long flowing red beards, are saying, "Grandfather, we're watching..." I don't know why they talk like that. "We're watching the greatest new episode of this American anime." And I'll be like, "Oh, I remember when people said American couldn't make anime. Shut the fuck up, Grandpa." I want them to say that to me.
You're sitting over there. I finally read Bleach. It was a waste of my time.
Let me text.
I still haven't met Joseph Joestar.
I gotta text Justin about it.
What was Justin's number again? Oh, he's not in Wisconsin anymore.
Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Avatar is great. I do recommend that. And you guys are all great for coming tonight. Thank you, Jen. Oh, I didn't even get to this. I wanted to flaunt that I bought more volumes of Inspector. So if anybody was wondering what the fuck this was, it's going to be anime airing in... This is the manga, but it has its anime airing in January. And it's a very cool manga, I think, at the moment. I can't wait to check out the series. So I hope that is good. I was going to tell you about something I plan to watch, but we had some really good discussion on here. Go watch Dragon Prince. Oh, also, I said, like, very important thing that I love Western. I want more Western animation on the caliber of Avatar, and Dragon Prince, I think, almost gives us that. At least for now, I don't think it's completely over. Has a new waifu character on there with Rayla, and you weren't around when I first mentioned her, but that's what started the conversation about like a waifu tier list. And so, if I got a new elf girl friend, and her name's Rayla, and she's really cool, and she kicks a lot of ass. She's no Sango, but she's pretty cool.
She'll have to get some poison powers.
Yeah, you're right. She has to get the and then she'll gain the powers of knowing the future and the past, and being able to hypnotize the future into thinking that it's the past. And then she'll be able to hypnotizing the future to think that it's the past. That is a Bleach power if I ever just made up one.
Okay, when we end this, I will tell you how Bleach ends.
Okay. All right, everybody, thank you for coming. I need to find out how Bleach ends. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a good holiday, everybody. We'll see you.